So Dad's Report, channel 108. The only channel you need to watch, the only channel you need to see, except channels you watch on channel 9. So you're not here to impress, only here to express. Today is Friday, 10th of March 2023. Feels like 10th of January or February. It's rather chilly. We've been getting a little bit of snow. The rest of the country's been getting snowed under, and we could get snow here yet. I just can't wait for the warm weather now. I've had enough of winter, to be honest. And I've written something down. I wrote it down earlier on. I was at the coffee shop. Doing a bit of musing. Revolution. Revolution is an internal war. True revolution, that is. The Muslims talk of jihad, the real meaning of which is the inner war and conquest of the bad tendencies within. A struggle between the higher and the lower selves. Not what the NPC mainstream media told us about pre-pandemic. Because of course, I forgot to write it here, the jihadists all went on holiday, or they just stopped doing their jihading, didn't they? The Islamist terrorists, suicide bombers, etc. All of a sudden it stopped at the beginning of the pandemic. You know, like, or they all went indoors and started observing social distancing and staying indoors and keeping everyone safe and saving the NHS and saving lives. So yeah, I forgot to mention that here, but yeah, pre-pandemic, the Islamists were the question, weren't they? We've not had any Islamist terrorist attacks since, have we? Since the pandemic began. Anyway, I'm going off on one. A real jihadist is a man seeking to elevate his consciousness, not a NWO, New World Order controlled asset detonating a suicide bomb fest off in a bus full of passengers. The parasitical powers that should not be, turning the page, the parasitical powers that should not be, bastardized, convoluted and inverted so many words, word wizardry. What they tell us through the telescreen or daily rags is a diametrically opposite to how things are or what things mean. What they mean, because they know. Take Anarchy, for example. The image of angry mobs burning shops, houses and cars and doing battle with the cops come to mind when the word anarchy is broadcast from the dark spell box in the corner of the living room. We hear of how both Bolsheviks and anarchists in Russia tore the country apart during that not so glorious revolution, both sides being funded and controlled by the bloodlines pushing the current great reset. Another inverted word. Anarchy does not mean a society without rules. It means a society without rulers. Big difference. God's law, natural law, the law of creation, common law, whatever you want to call it, will apply to the society without rulers and governments. Kings, rulers, dictators and governments of various ideologies have got a seriously bad track record in the last couple of centuries or more. So much so that they are no longer trusted to rule over us. How would a truly anarchistic society function without guidance from others to ensure there is an intact infrastructure and an adherence to true law? That is, do no harm, the golden rule. But who would enforce this golden rule? As educated, self-sufficient, God-conscious, spiritually developed, competent men, we would all enforce that no harm comes to anyone. The more conscious a man or woman is, and the more such... I can't even read my own handwriting, to be honest. It's terrible. Take a look at my handwriting. How the fuck am I supposed to read that? Okay, I just scribbled it off and I'm reading it off now. The more conscious a man or woman is, and the more such conscious people there are, the less likely harm will be inflicted upon our fellow man. The less likely harm will be inflicted upon our fellow man. Instead of rulers, we will have servants. And we will be the servants, serving each other as children of God. Heart within and God overhead. God, the true ruler. In ancient times, a righteous and God-conscious king would in fact be a servant of his people, protecting them from harm both from within and without the society, and from without. I read that wrong, didn't I? In ancient times, a righteous and God-conscious king would in fact be a servant of his people, protecting them from harm both from within the society and from without. He would ensure that every man, woman and child in his kingdom lived in abundance, happy and free. A true ruler is a servant. He takes advice and counselling from others of all social status. God in the flesh, a true king or ruler. When we look upon creation, we can see the abundance of nature God has manifested and given to us for our growth. So a king behaves like God, protecting and ensuring that we have all we need and dispensing justice to those who seek to harm or exploit those he rules, serves. Rules/serves. Like God, a true righteous king sees and feels like he is a servant of all. Such days have long passed, however, and now we must become our own kings and queens, servants of creation and inspired by the Creator. And how can we achieve this? How can we achieve this? Through revolution. This means we rise up in violence and take out the parasites that currently inflict harm on mankind? Yes and no. No, because mass non-compliance to their diktats would disempower them and they run and hide from our righteous justice. Yes, because if and when we exercise mass non-compliance, they will respond in violence. Then we must resist in self-defense. Natural law states we must do no harm, but take no shit. Violence is a last resort as a means of self-defense. We must protect ourselves and others from wrongdoers, using violence if all other avenues are exhausted. A revolution of non-compliance could well be effective if the parasitical elite are corralled and brought to justice, execution being the only sentence these demons deserve. If, however, our mass non-compliance is met with violence, though we must fight back, we outnumber them by 99%. How can we lose? And once they are dealt with, what then? What do we do? Where do we go from there? The revolution does not end there. This is the beginning. Most of mankind are now lost NPC automatons without any will of their own. Many will die, for they do not know how to survive in a society in line with creation. Many have died already and have already ensured their own deaths by allowing a pseudo-medical procedure to be inflicted upon them. Others, however, will have to wake up. The survivors, we have to wake up. We have to wake up. The true revolution is when we wake up and help those who are willing to wake up. How to define waking up? We learn to grow. We learn to build. We learn to pray or meditate. We learn empathy. We learn about ourselves and God. We learn how to be totally self-sufficient and independent in a society of enlightened servants, all connecting and raising the vibration of creation. Waking up to God, the Creator, and co-creating according to God's law. This will take generations once the parasites have gone. The interim period between the elimination of the parasites and the raising of the collective consciousness of mankind could take 100,000 or 10,000 years or more. But we will get there. The future is in our hands and God is on our side. Shit makes good fertilizer. So basically, revolution is internal. Ultimately, is internal. Basically, a revolution means we wake up, and we try to wake those up, those people who are willing to wake up. And all the darkness and the struggle and the hard times we're going through right now, the evil darkness that's now being rolled out upon us. This is shit, but it's good fertilizer. From this, without this, we wouldn't grow actually. It's actually a blessing in disguise. What's happening now? What is happening to us now? What is happening to humanity or to mankind now? I try to avoid the word human now, you know. I heard that human means slave to the serpent, apparently, if you break it down to its etymology. So man and woman, mankind. Yeah. If this shit did not happen, if this crap was not going on now, then many are going to die, many are going to be destroyed, many are going to suffer, but a large section of the mankind, the population of mankind, a large percentage of them will wake up, and it will take generations to get some kind of sort of spiritual, anarchic society where everyone's awake enough not to depend on others or what to do. If you're a God-conscious and self-realised soul,